One day in 1971, there were 4 daily trains east from Portland. Then Amtrak was formed, and from that day until 1977, there were none. As testimony in the train-off hearings indicated, people of Oregon, Idaho, Wyoming, and Colorado had a variety of practical uses for the service, even in its curtailed form. Many had come to recognize that it was unfair for the Union Pacific to carry expenses for this service. If our people are to learn to get along with each other, train travel is a special asset that brings people together from places big and places small. No other form of transportation has united the child with the senior, the conference goer with the student, the villager with the urbanite, and all of us with the environment in the way that the pioneer has. A train cannot possibly be on the way to somewhere by denying the worth of where it is. Every city, farm, and village still comes with faces and countless waves. Our waves and smiles return the compliment. Windows mean exchange. A train will always have two destinations, the moment being lived and the one to come. Elected officials of both major parties supported opening up of the Pioneer Route in 1977. Both the Republican governor of Oregon and the Democratic senior senator from Idaho donated significant staff time. Opposition to the project came from the same elements in Washington, D.C., who had proposed leaving most western states out of Amtrak in the first place. None dared oppose it openly. June 1977, Amtrak launched the Seattle-Portland-Boise-Ogden-Salt Lake City Pioneer. It connected at Ogden with the transcontinental San Francisco Zephyr running Laramie, Cheyenne, Denver, and east. Here's a look at the small brochure that was the only original promotion for the route. Timetable and tour brochure all rolled into one. Let's open that brochure and take a look at the inside pages. The original Amtrak Pioneer was provided with Amfleet equipment designed for short distances, cars designed for the Northeast Corridor. Long-distance cars with better sightseeing ability had not been ordered. On the other side of the brochure, let's take a look at the map. Seattle to Salt Lake City through the Oregon's Blue Mountains, with a rough outline of the Oregon Trail alongside, free-handed. East of Portland, staff stations were only provided at Boise, Ogden, and Salt Lake City. Passengers were forced out of online stations, instead having to rely on Amtrak shelters. Ironically, economy measures on the Pioneer helped to save it when other Amtrak long-distance trains were discontinued. That's because passengers put up with the inconveniences, and so the service survived. With delivery of Superliner long-distance cars and the restoration of the California Zephyr routing through Colorado, the Pioneer was combined in Salt Lake City with the Zephyr and with the Desert Wind from Los Angeles and Las Vegas to create a new transcontinental route. Salt Lake City in the middle of the night was truly the crossroads of the West. The Superliner Pioneer, extended through Denver and Omaha to Chicago, was a hit. Crowds in Union Station, Portland, Oregon. Train time at Denver Union Station was a busy time too, but a shortage of Superliners capped ridership and left crews to juggle the crowds. With peak demand held to a low level, ridership and revenue was held down. That particularly hurt during times when other modes of transportation were disrupted. At times that the Pioneer was most needed, customers were turned away. Here's a typical Denver scene in those days: television monitors showing flights delayed, diverted, canceled. But things began to look up for the Pioneer. Freight delays to the train in Oregon's rugged Blue Mountains created the need for a faster route. Splitting up the heavy combined train east of Salt Lake City would permit longer trains on both routes. Salt Lake City cars would be provided on the Pioneer, and Wyoming would gain Salt Lake City access via the Desert Wind. The new combined Pioneer from the northwest and Desert Wind from the southwest was to serve Wyoming points. Additional equipment would be needed. A new Denver-Chicago train on an attractive schedule would result. The new train would serve central Iowa points. The Desert Wind was not combined across Wyoming with the Pioneer due to equipment shortages. The Pioneer was given a bus link to Salt Lake City instead of through cars. Cheyenne was bypassed, but was also given a bus link. The second Denver-Chicago train was not launched. Expected additional cars were not ordered. Instead, Amtrak was shoved through a series of crises. The Pioneer and other long-distance trains were cut to tri-weekly. Then in May 1997, the Pioneer and Desert Wind were discontinued. Cutbacks in these trains permitted other trains to survive. After the Standard and Shallow news accounts, public interest in the Pioneer continues.